brook trout are southeast Minnesota's only native trout species. The members of the salmon family prefer the cool, clean waters of spring-fed streams that are abundant in the driftless area.
We have a lot of groundwater, springs, limestone, bedrock. Water comes out of the springs and is 48, 50 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. So it's warm in the winter and cold in the summer. And brook trout need those conditions.
You know, when this area was first settled, you know, obviously there was a big need for timber. So the hillsides were logged, and then a lot of row crop agriculture, heavy grazing. So you had this impact of just, you know, heavy runoff, lots of silt and sediments coming into the stream. Streams carried a lot more flow, so they widened out, got shallower, which warmed them up.
German settlers brought in brown trout that thrived in the warmer water temperatures.
People wanted to have what they had in their home country, so they had brown trout, and kind of like the common carp came the same way.
Brown trout are actually pretty aggressive fish. Brook trout just had a hard time competing with the brown trout in those bad conditions.
After the 1930s Dust Bowl, farmers started adopting conservation practices. Reducing erosion and silt runoff into the streams provided better habitat for native trout.
So now we're seeing some tipping of the teeter-totter the other way. They're still fighting, but this place is one of the places that brook trout are doing really well.
The brook trout in East Indian Creek are a remnant strain of the original species that didn't descend from a hatchery.
We have records of brook trout being stocked long ago, and they didn't know the importance of the genetics then, and they didn't much care. We're finding out through genetics now that those brook trout came from Michigan, they came from Wisconsin, they came from Maine. I think we have some very eastern strains here. And you know, a brook trout was a brook trout.
In the mid-2000s, research biologists sampled all 74 brook trout streams in the southeast and found that 34 didn't match hatchery strains. They are driftless area heritage fish.
So now we're trying to focus a little bit more on southeast Minnesota brook trout as a southeast Minnesota brook trout.
The idea there is to develop a line of hatchery fish that have the remnant genetics, and then we'll keep bringing in wild stock into that over time, so we maintain that wild lineage, and then those are the fish we want to use both for, you know, kind of supplementary stocking and also introductory stocking.
Before eggs are taken to be raised in a hatchery, the stream's brook trout are disease tested.
Right now we're just trying to get 30 brook trout that we'll send into our pathology lab, and they'll do screening for various diseases. We're doing egg take out of this stream, so we have to maintain three continuous years of disease-free status. So we do this every year. Since about 2012, we've been testing this, and it's maintained a clean status, so that way we can take wild eggs out of here and move to a hatchery. 1 adult. We've also pretty routinely taken fish out of this exact spot for the State Fair fish display. They're really beautiful brook trout here. Electrofishing is pretty much our main sampling tool for trout streams. And what it does is, so out in the front here is the anode, or the positive terminal. Back here behind him is dragging the cathode. So it sets up a little electrical field in here. Actually, it doesn't shock them really. It causes a forced swimming. So they'll kind of follow that electrode. And you can see it, they come up pretty fast, and you gotta be kind of quick with the net. Total non-lethal way of sampling. So you see they'll kind of be attracted to that probe. It's because one side of their body's contracting and it makes them kind of swim in a circle. And there's fish everywhere. Not seeing the brookies though here yet. Here's one. We do see in this part of East Indian kind of some ebb and flow of the brook and brown trout. Some years we'll see maybe 90% brook trout. Other years, like this year, we're seeing more kind of 50-50 mix of them. And so habitat, physical habitat's part of that, but you know, water quality, temperatures, you know, annual reproduction, you know, maybe some years brown trout get a good hatch off and other years brook trout do.
Well, we can take the fish back to the truck. Do you wanna?
Yeah, we can
4 adults.
kind of take the smaller adults too. We'll let the bigger ones back in here.
6 adults. 10, we'll send 1 more for good measure. All right, that's 30.
Okay.
When it gets closer to fall, these colors will really brighten up. They'll get real red fins, beautiful orange colors, greens. These are the brook trout that are going up to the pathology lab to be tested for BKD.
Lab results showed that, for the 10th straight year, the East Indian Creek brookies are free of disease and cleared for an egg take. The DNR also works with Trout Unlimited on habitat restoration projects, like removing invasive trees and brush from stream banks because non-native brown trout prefer overhead cover.
This brook trout thing is really about reintroducing them such that we can just let them do their own thing and we don't have to stock them.
I'd say 95% of our streams are totally running on natural reproduction.
And we want the driftless genetics to stay here. They've been here all this time. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Funding for this program was provided by the Minnesota Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund, Safe Basements of Minnesota, your basement waterproofing and foundation repair specialist since 1990. Peace of mind is a safe basement. Live Wide Open. The more people know about West Central Minnesota, the more reasons they have to live here. More at livewideopen.com. Western Minnesota Prairie Waters, where peace, relaxation, and opportunities await.